everyone, and welcome back to No Capes, the show where we talk about creator-owned comics with creators who own comics. With me today is someone that you've heard me mention a bunch of times before, and I'm excited to sit down and chat with, Liana Kangas. Liana, introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Liana Kangas. I am a comic creator, primarily artist. I also write as well sometimes, but some work that you might recognize me by is Star Wars Adventures, True Cult, and quite possibly Seeds of Eden, which was through TKO Studios, and some other stuff, especially through like Vault, She Said Destroy.
Yes,
Um, yeah, so I'm here. I'm ready.
I'm
I'm
excited.
excited.
I've literally got She Said Destroy sitting in my Comicsology ready for me to read this weekend, actually. Alright, so today we're talking about a comic that I've been really excited about for what's been about 9 months or so that it's been running, maybe a bit longer.
Probably longer since we're
Yeah, it's up to about
issue
issue
11
12.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so about a year. So since I read the first issue of this, I have been waiting for somebody to pick this.
Oh, good. Because I am a big fan of Casper's work, which is why I picked it up.
Same. I'm
Well, everyone on this book, obviously,
right. It's
but
such a good team. It's such a
hell
good
yeah.
team. And yeah, like if you've watched the Dan Waters episode, you'll know that I was really hyped talking to Dan about it. And if you're going to sit down and watch this episode, we'll give you a warning a few minutes in before we start getting too deep into spoiler territory. And then you can go away, read the comic, and come back. I'm going to link all of that in the description. I'm going to link all Liana's stuff in the description. So strap in, get your coffee, get your beer, whatever you're drinking today while you're watching this episode. This is a wild ride of a comic, and it's going to be really
Yeah.
fun chat. So, Homesick Pilots is my new favorite modern supernatural story right now. It
Mm-hmm.
follows, well, it starts off following two indie punk bands, little trash bag rebels playing dive bars and causing trouble. And then it starts getting weird. I mean, like it's weird from the first page. I'm not sure if you've got the comic up in front of you. I've got the Comixology version up, but
I was actually
immediately,
going to show you. I made a I made a case for it. So I made like a custom
oh, I love
binded
that.
case for all my issues.
I love
And
that.
I was gonna pull it out while we were talking about it. So,
I absolutely love that. I'm really excited for this to finish so that I can get like a hardcover omnibus or something.
oh yeah, Image, what's up?
Yeah,
Let's do this. Let's get that foil cover.
yeah. Let's. Same thing for Crowded, by the way. Volume 3 is coming out soon, and I want a single volume this thick of Crowded. Give it to me.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, on this first page, we're not even introduced to the characters yet, and then suddenly there's this weird light, and the house seemingly exploding, and just the color work on this, and all the little details that Caspar has put into the line work and the inking and stuff.
Every panel looks like an illustration. It's wild, but his
It
sequential storytelling is like insane.
it is. It's such a well composed book, and uh, everything about it just really tickles all of my favorite things for a comic that I want to read. Like Aditya's lettering is just so crisp and clean and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, they all make an incredible team. Just I love Tom Mueller's design, and I really enjoy these books because like they are really like gritty and messy looking, or
mm,
like not messy. That's not the right word,
no, I know
but
what you
like
mean.
and he does an incredible job designing this so well too. And it's like way outside of his normal like very crisp design stuff.
Yeah,
So incredible.
I love how they don't fuck around either. Like
Mm-hmm.
3 pages in, and bam, suddenly the house is a mech.
Yeah,
And
they jumped the gun quick.
Yeah, it goes from 0 to 100 real fast.
Yeah.
And we've got the inner monologue here of the main character Amy, and she's describing how she feels and like what she's experiencing inside the house, but you don't know that that's what's going on until we get here to page 3, and we
Mm-hmm.
suddenly see this glowing person in some kind
It's
of
like,
pilot suit.
I can't wait to talk about spoilers.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna give everyone a basic rundown while we're on this page. It's look. So, ghosts, vengeful ghosts, house mechs, real mechs, shady government organizations, punk rock, living sentient suits of blood, salt pills, ghosts becoming Iron Man suits. It's a
That's a great
wild,
description.
wild book, and honestly, I can't wait to just start talking about everything in the book. So
When
it's
you
not
say it out loud, like, it sounds like a ton of gibberish.
right, but like
And they make it work so well.
they really do. It sounds like like when you say it like that, it sounds like it should be an absolute mess. But no, it's such a good story, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
wild. It is absolutely wild. And so we follow the two bands, and we start finding out what happens with them after they get into a beef. The Homesick Pilots versus the Nuclear Bastards after a show. Some shit goes down, and then the ghost stuff starts happening. Go read the comic right now if you haven't read the comic and you care about spoilers, and then come back and watch the rest of the episode, because yeah, like I've been so thrilled about this comic and to talk about it, and I know Liana is excited, so I can't guarantee that we're not going to get spoiler deep in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was like, there's not much you can really say because what's great about this series is when they did I guess tease like the first couple pages, you don't get a lot out of it. You're still very confused about what this entire book is about
Right?
until
Yeah.
like you said, kind of list off, it's about punk rock bands. Even the timing is pretty wild. It's in the 90s.
Yeah.
Mechs, ghosts, just yeah.
Right?
I
Yeah. I all I saw was the first couple of pages and saw that there was some kind of ghost lady piloting a house like a mech, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't care what's going on. But I want to find out, and I'm sold already.
right.
That was
Exactly.
enough.
I thought that I got all of my mech content in the 90s from anime, and even now looking at this, I'm like, well, I guess I didn't get enough because this is great.
Right?
So,
Yeah, that's the same. Like as soon as Frankie asked me if I wanted to do a page for his anime-inspired mech book, I'm like, yes. That like
yeah.
you don't have to ask again. You don't have to tell me anything else. I'm sold. Let's do this.
Can we talk spoilers?
Yes, we can. Let's do it.
Okay, so I reread this because it's an assignment to me. So I like went back and reread the first arc because I wasn't sure if we were gonna do caught up all the way to the future,
Yeah.
which is issue 12 came out yesterday when we're recording this. And even opening the first issue, I'm like foreshadowing. Oh my god! Like I know that she like I always read it as Ami in my head, not Amy. But Amy
I'm not
makes way
sure.
more sense.
Yeah, I'm
That's
honestly not
something that
sure.
we should ask Caspar and
Yes.
Dan.
I actually didn't think to
Um,
ask Dan that when I was talking to him.
so good. So like the foreshadowing and the complete and utter like gorgeousness of the first three panels with like the Ferris wheel and everything insane.
Yeah.
I read up to issue 8, I think 7 or 8, so like I had told you where I left off, but even like the end of the arc ending where it did, and they're somehow able to fit that much information in
Yeah.
these pages and in this arc, but like not be too wild with like a dialogue or anything like that. And like how much detail is like really put in the background and whatnot is like unreal to me.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I've left every one of these books feeling like I've just read like a graphic novella, essentially.
Yes,
Not a floppy.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
and not in the it dragged and I'm tired kind of way. In the like, no, that
Just
was such a wild ride of a book. I can't believe they fit that much into a single issue.
absolutely. And I feel like the way the story beats are done so perfectly, even switching between like each of the ghosts and like how you're going to start with the next, like almost like creature of the week kind of.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's where this was going, but clearly not, as I started reading, you know, with all the stuff with Meg starting to happen. So
Yeah.
this, I mean, it like hits you at every corner. There's something different going on like every issue. I even like at the beginning of the first arc from issue 3 to 4, I think, where you meet TFT, that fucking thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, well, and then like all these quote unquote Fed agents or whatever.
Right. And yeah, like that thing. Like
just when I thought it was already complicated enough.
Yeah.
Thank you for introducing an even deeper plot line.
Right. Yeah. This shady sort of semi-independent, semi-autonomous government organization that's trying to weaponize ghosts.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And they're using a ghost to track the other ghosts.
Yeah. And look,
this is like some Ghostbusters shit.
It really is. And look, we can't talk about that without talking about the design of the ghosts.
Yeah.
Like, some of these things are freaky. Some of them are still very
My favorite is
humanoid.
Like Old Man James.
Yeah. Old Man James is terrifying.
He is essentially a head with whoever's not going to read the book or whoever has read the book, like a head with a horseshoe.
Yeah.
For your face, like.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Like, from the collarbone up, there's just a horseshoe. And he's all emaciated and sort of the bones are a bit distended in places. Like his hip bones stick out uncomfortably high.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's TFT and it's like detailless nude feminine body with a fucking cassette tape for a head.
Mm-hmm.
And the video cassette and the tape is prehensile and can be used as a weapon.
I think it's incredible. Like you were saying, the designs, there's a lot of what seems like 90s anime influences.
Yeah.
Not even the mechs itself, but like a lot of these suit designs look very like inspired by, and then like even the mech suits do, and then even like how insanely gritty and like wild like some of the ghosts when they are with a person, essentially.
Right. Yeah, and like there's little Marky, and he's wearing the Gundam mask, essentially, very much a Gundam inspired mask, like you said.
Super cute.
And yeah, the pilot suits, like Amy's pilot suit reminds me of sort of a mix between the Ava plug suits and the normal suits from Gundam.
They so I've actually been rewatching Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, and they look super similar. Like they're really cool, like arm cuff, like over the arm to where like your wrist and stuff is protected. I think it's really cool. Like everything seems very intentional, and to mix it with like 90s grunge punk, like everything is so funny to me.
Yeah, I love that. Man, I haven't watched 2040 for probably been about 20 years now.
Yeah, that's why I started rewatching it. That is like my favorite anime. So
yeah, I'll have to go back and rewatch it because like I've just caught up basically on every single Gundam series that's been dubbed.
Oh my gosh, that's a feat.
I
think I could go back and maybe watch Outlaw Star, but I don't think I could take on Gundam. Like, that's just too much.
Well, yeah, I'd been curious about it for forever and just never got around to it. And so I talked to Frankie one day, and he gave me a rundown on which ones to watch in which order, and then it just spiraled from there.
Good.
There's only...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's only the one that I haven't watched, and I'm really glad that I didn't. because it got really weird like 3 episodes in, and then I've seen some more clips from it, and it gets weirder. And that's the Gundam G Fighter or whatever it is, where they're doing like Gundam battles, Gundam fight tournaments and stuff like that, and they've got superpowers and pilot suits that they change into. And I watched a clip the other day of like the only female pilot changing into her pilot suit, and the guys get this thing that's like this laser ring that like pulls down a glowing energy thing over the top of them and stretches the suit onto them, and it's all angry and exciting. And the female pilot gets a friggin' Sailor Moon glowing ribbon transformation sequence. And then her Gundam has
gotta
ponytails.
Swap those roles. YOLO. Oh my goodness.
Yep. Yeah, and then her Gundam has ponytails and a skirt and has a bloody ribbon gymnastics.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh gosh. Yeah. I love when friends can tell me, like, suggest me to watch like a series and be like, just avoid the last 2 episodes. And I'm like, okay, I will. Yep. I will not ruin it for myself.
Yeah.
It's like Dexter, you know, like nobody wants to watch that last season. Well, now that new short or whatever was really good, but like True Blood, things like that, everyone's like, don't watch the last episode, you'll be good.
Yeah, that tracks. But yeah, don't watch that season and you'll be good.
Yeah. So I guess I should have read all the way up to the last issue, but
I mean, it's
I'm kind of glad I didn't, so I have a lot more to look forward to.
Exactly.
I love... Oh, sorry.
No, you're right.
I was just gonna say, like, I really love what they're doing, like, kind of not pitting Meg and what's his face against each other, but like essentially like using Meg to like find the ghosts because they can't control that fucking thing.
Yeah.
So adds a lot of really good drama on top of the already high school drama that they clearly all have.
Yes. Yeah, and that's it. And like the Meg stuff gets intense after issue 8.
Okay. Ready for it.
It gets pretty intense. I just sort of flicked through issue 8 again to refresh myself on where it ends. And like that final scene where Meg has like learned how to use the ghosts as a suit and is just sitting there watching TV, like holding the TV, holding herself up in the air, smoking, eating ramen and drinking a beer at the same time, using the blood suit as arms to do all of that.
Ooh.
That's
nice.
That's such a brilliant shot. And yeah, like it just is incredible. And as you start to see what the other ghosts do, like what their thing is.
Well, I'm already like, don't tell me yet because obviously I don't know yet. No. But I'm like, is the blood suit the 3 guys that were killed or whatever, her bandmates? You know what I mean? So like, right? It's really exciting each issue to be like, holy shit, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's some shit about the blood suit, and then some shit about what else Meg is now able to do.
So excited
as she bonds with the blood suit more.
Do we know how many issues this is supposed to go to?
Shoot, Dan was saying something about that the other day. I think there's another 3 or 4 issues after issue 12.
So three arcs, I'm assuming?
I think that's what he said. I don't quote me on that, everybody, if you're listening to this. I can't remember exactly, but I have a vague memory about that, but that just could be my ADHD playing tricks on me. But I think they're getting
wishful thinking.
It could be, yeah. I think they're getting close to the culmination. Is all I can remember.
Incredible. It's gonna be hard to watch this series end, especially like. I love the style that's like carried through, like the color choices and stuff like that.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah, the coloring, like I love all the panels like with the screen tone, which again sort of gives you that anime feel, but the way they've done it, it also just very much reminds me of like grungy 90s, early 2000s punk band, gig posters and stuff.
Hell yeah.
And like they've done a really good job of combining that and like getting that look. And look, Caspar's line work on this just blows me away. I'm looking at the
I mean, it looks like fully painted to me. That's
yeah,
why I'm like, how do you have time?
right? It looks fantastic. And I'm just looking at the close up of one of the nuclear bastards
Mm-hmm.
where they have that confrontation on the docks,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy's like wiping his chin, and I'm just looking at the way that Caspar's lined the hair, each individual
Mm-hmm.
strand of hair, and like the nice sharp thick line around the edge of the face, and how it trails off into a nice faded but still really crisp point at the edge of the
Yeah.
jaw. Just the way he's done the line work on this blows me away. I love that kind of bold black line art.
I love when there's like certain panels that reminds me of like what I used to do in like high school and stuff when I used to draw with like colored pencils. But he'll like outline some of his figures with white.
Yes.
And I really like that too.
Yeah. I love that. And then in some panels, he'll do that with the background color
Mm-hmm.
as well. Like there's a couple of close ups here of Amy, um, after that scene. She's lighting a cigarette, sitting down on somebody's garden, and then walking off. And then there's the two close ups, and it's got that solid black into a screen tone gradient, and instead of doing a white outline along the edge of her face, it's the background color.
Yeah.
And
Killer.
it's such a nice thing. Like I probably wouldn't have thought to do that. And then on the next page is what you're talking about with the white lines, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rim lighting that just makes it stand out that little bit more against the black.
I like the use of like a lot of negative space in the panels and stuff and
Yes.
like allowing the page to be white.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that scene where she finally approaches the haunted house, and like there's the big empty space of sky and stars, and then yeah, in the front is just the grass and everything is just white that's been taken out of it, and it looks really
mm-hmm.
cool. I
Hell
really
yeah.
like the way they've done the guttering and that sort of white fade to splatter and not harsh outlines on the guttering of the panels that way. That's a really cool trick.
Yeah. I'm wondering, and like I'll probably ask him this, if like the colors were intentional for each person. Like
Mm.
it seems like everyone has like their own like tone or hue of like colors.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because even in the later issues, like issue 7 and 8, where you're up to there, like Amy is still got the red tones, but now instead of
Mm-hmm.
being like a really faded maroon and like really down colored, like she's cut her hair, the red streaks are gone, and she's got the red jacket
Yep.
on, and it's a bit more vibrant, and like she's still dealing with whatever this bullshit is, but she feels like it
Yep.
feels like she's come to terms with her situation more.
Oh my god, the action scene where she's like, just so you all know what happened or whatever, and like the house like shoots them out of the water.
Yes,
That whole like scene, like, oh my god. It was drawn so beautifully. I'm like, how did you guys think of that? What?
right. And like yeah, this sequence, by the way, just in the first issue of just it's pretty much the same piece of line work for 4 panels, but
Mm-hmm.
the way they've colored it and lit it to show the passing of time and that flash of red that's obviously, now that you know more about the story, is obviously Amy being assimilated by the house.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's just such a cool sequence.
I like the way Dan writes like future and flashback stuff and how it's seemingly like organic even despite being placed with some of like the monster of the week stuff for like these intentional ghosts to be introduced and like kind of focus in, or at least be, on the sidelines before they're needed. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's so intricate. Like, it seems like it could be such a shallow book, like it's a book about ghosts and punks.
mm-hmm.
But it's not. There's so much to it. It's such a rich world as well.
Yeah, the world building, you're right. That is I think the biggest part, because like it has a very iconic look, and
Yeah.
they've done such a good job at like everything is so seamless and like you know, like constant, like the character designs, like every single detail is there. Like you were saying, kind of like each person has their own like set of outfits, and it doesn't seem like to ever stray away and things like that.
Yeah. And yeah, it does. And I can't believe all of the little, like, I'm trying to remember what is happened after issue 8 and what is before issue 8, so I don't spoil anything for you. But
Ooh, yeah.
there's so many little bits and pieces that
Mm-hmm.
are just like, oh shit, you showed us that, like,
Yeah,
issues back.
lots of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, just the way that they reuse certain things, and like they circle back
Mm-hmm.
and inform what's going to happen in the future is just so interesting to me. Like, we got the two bandmates here, and like, those guys are still involved in
Mm-hmm.
issue 11 and 12. Like, they're that's all I'm going to tell you, is they're still around, and what's going on with them is super interesting.
Yeah, with a book about ghosts, there's luckily not too much death to stress out about.
Yeah, right.
I hate getting attached to characters and then them fucking getting killed off.
Yeah, no,
It's like my
100%.
biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, but I need to see what happens next, because like everyone's abilities and powers are growing as well as the ghosts get
Mm-hmm.
more and more involved.
It's
Uh,
just like in-depth plot line.
it
It's just like doesn't stop.
Yeah,
It
it
just
is.
keeps growing. It's like branching out farther and farther.
Yeah, and look, like this scene here, where the nuclear bastards have broken into the house looking for uh the homesick pilots to fuck with them, and then
Yeah.
the other two homesick pilots are breaking in looking for Amy.
And as we know, the house shifts and like fucks with everybody.
Mm-hmm. And just the way that they've done this and showing the figures like moving throughout the house. Instead, you could have done that as individual panels and kept them all separately. I
Mm-hmm.
love pages like this. Actually, I'm going to switch to the double page spread layout so everyone can see this properly. I love pages like this where, no, like, everything is laid out in front of you, but it is still a distinct linear narrative happening. And you've got to read this page, actually, there it is again, like the manga influence, isn't it? Like, it's got the Western comics influence of reading the Homesick Pilot story left to right,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to read the Nuclear Bastard story right to left.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Are you
Yeah,
talking about the first issue?
yeah. First issue, right near the back where they're in the house for the first time. It's a big double page spread.
God, I love these pages, especially with like, even this is like pre them being ghosts or whatever, but
Yeah,
everyone's like the same color almost.
right. Yeah, and they're just like,
In some of the scenes. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking. Okay, this one, right?
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't really think of it like that until we were discussing like the anime and manga influences and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
the two different groups, you have to read their story in opposing directions
Mm-hmm.
in order to understand like the flow of time happening here.
Wild.
And
And it technically follows. Well, it technically follows the rule too, where like the eye leading.
yeah,
So
exactly. They were both
That's
heading to
rad.
the same spot. And
Mm-hmm.
I do also like how the two different bands also have their own obvious, like, distinct color scheme.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's just
It's
a,
almost like cooler and warmer, but not quite. Like
yeah,
the like yellowy, like very muted yellow.
yeah, and the Homesick Pilots have sort of a bluish
Mm-hmm.
tinge to them.
Yeah.
And like that's a really nice and subtle touch. Like, they didn't have to do it that way. They could have just fully colored them and left it to us to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a really nice subtle touch to delineate between the two different factions here. And again,
Absolutely.
Caspar's, like, the choices here to line the figures in white is really cool.
Yeah.
It just makes them pop that little bit more, and sort of shows that, like, the people here aren't part of what's going on. Like, they aren't part of the house. They are.
Yeah.
It separates them from the house a little bit more.
So good. Oof, the end of this issue where the house starts falling apart.
Yeah.
So good. Well, can't read. No, I can't wait to read the rest.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for you to get caught up, because I want to hear your thoughts about the more recent stuff.
Especially yesterday, still very fresh.
Yeah. As soon as I saw Dan post that was out, I'm like, to Comixology I go.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it starts getting into a lot of, like, sort of modern American history stuff, and connects a lot of the story to that.
Fun.
Yeah, it's intense and really interesting. How much have you seen of the government agency?
They introduced like that bottom layer or whatever. I just saw that where
Okay.
like you see all the tanks and stuff, and then like the salt rings and like the captured ghosts
Yeah.
and the twins and the girl that builds some of the stuff, I guess.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's
so a
really
lot
cool.
more than I thought, because I remember even like before the first arc was done, I was like, who is this random like guy? And there was like, it seemed like there was only a couple of them with all the TV screens and stuff. So
Yeah.
it was like, is this the villain? Who knows? You
Yeah.
know.
Nope. There's a whole other faction. Yeah, that they get really interesting. Some of the things that they're doing with the ghosts and stuff.
Well, they're trying to weaponize it, like you said. So.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's all pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Imagine being able to weaponize ghosts. Wild.
Right. And that's just the thing, isn't it? Like, ghosts are these. Like, we see these ghosts and see how powerful and out of control and just otherworldly they are. And yet, here we are, human hubris, thinking that we can control and weaponize and utilize these ghosts for our own ends.
It's because they see it and they want it. So, like, obviously the ghosts are the ones controlling us, and then, or like, to say, obviously in the Homesick Pilots universe. So obviously somebody wants that. They want control of that.
Right?
People think there's going to be enough money to actually get it, so.
Yep. And it's shown time and time again through the comic that, well, like, look at the TFT.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you thought you could control it. Oh, guess what? Your shit's wrecked.
Yeah, it blew all your shit up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Nice try.
Yeah, it turns out, no, you can't control it at all, and you probably shouldn't try.
Mm-mm.
That's just like the Jurassic Park thing all over again. It's like, yeah, let's create a new dinosaur, and we're totally going to be able to control it and weaponize it.
Right? I've been thinking about Ghostbusters this whole time.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh, what a crossover that would be.
Incredible.
Like,
clearly there's a lot of influences here, which I love. It's like,
yeah.
it seems like I mean, I feel like I grew up probably around the time that Dan and Casper, however they created this, I feel like I probably grew up around the same time as them. So
Yeah, I know what you
it
mean.
has very many influences that I feel like I relate to.
Yeah. This sequence, I think, like when you're talking about like the house falls apart, but like this sequence where the the bastards start attacking the pilots, and you see like the house starts to crickle and crack, and the piping starts to emerge from the walls,
Mm-hmm.
and then just starts murdering them. As,
Insane.
yeah,
Who knew?
as soon as I
Death
turned the
by
page,
house.
right? Yeah, as soon as I turned to that page and saw the pipes coming out of the wall, I just like, oh no, this is gonna get messy.
Yeah, incredibly.
I, the dynamism of the action sequences in this comic too are just off the charts.
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
like this where the first guy gets stabbed by all of the pipes. Like most
Mm-hmm.
of the scene is obscured by black ink.
There is actually a lot of like gore in this, but it's done so well, obviously, with like using like bright colors
Right?
and things like that, which is nice.
Like this scene, this guy is getting stabbed by like 16 different pipes here, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all black and pink. So it's a flash and it's shocking, but it's not overly gratuitous.
Right.
And like I would be fine if the blood was all visible and everything like that, but it's just something about it hits home harder this way as well.
Yeah. I feel like Casper, there's like so much detail in his work, but there's a lot of like cell inspiration to where it looks really clean
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and it like reads really well, like especially in print.
Yeah.
Um, that it works so well with things like that, where I don't know, just looks very clean to me,
It
which I
does.
enjoy.
And yeah, I like the panel where the guy's head is getting popped off by the pipes. Like just a
Oh
solid
yeah,
white background, and
I didn't
there's
even think about the fact that the gore literally also includes like how insane these like designs are for some of these ghosts. Like people literally like murdered in the weirdest ways and then kept that way. And these are the character designs. Like
yeah,
so gory.
right, yeah, like the clock guy.
Mm-hmm. And the woman who was hung
Yeah,
and
yeah, the
like
woman
that's
in the
a good
wardrobe.
nod. Yeah, that's a really good nod to like I feel like a lot of really good horror movies.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. Like there was
Um,
some really cool archetypes, but like designed in a really really solid and interesting way. There,
yeah,
like there's the
very
creepy
fresh.
child,
Mm-hmm.
but for once, it's not a creepy little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the trope is almost always when there's a creepy child, it's more often than not a creepy little girl. But like
I
this is
like the introduction. So sorry to
no,
interrupt.
you're right.
Only because you like brought it up earlier, the salt pill stuff. Like that added such a like huge twist to like the plot stuff,
Yeah, right.
where he introduces like this ghost, and he's like, "Oh, it's actually my grandpa," or whatever. And you see like this other side of the ghost, who's like, you're already getting so attached to these ghosts because they are showing like humanity to these characters while they're being controlled and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But when you like look at the fact that they are like human underneath it and yet still people want to control them, it's like, oh, well, that's not great. um,
yeah, and then that was the cat, wasn't it?
yeah, it was like a weird like cat like decaying
Yeah, that's
thing.
right. Yeah, and like yeah, it was like his granddad's ghost bonded to a stray cat or something like that.
Wild.
I can't remember the exact story right now, but it was something like that, and I was just like, ooh.
What would your ghost look like if you were like one of these creepy ghosts?
Oh god, that's a good question. Honestly, I'm gonna say it would have something to do with coffee or being crushed by my own bullshit being stacked too
By
much
your
around.
giant stack of boxes.
Yeah, or just like I've got shelves upon shelves upon
You're
shelves and
actually a
shit put
mech
everywhere.
of books and boxes.
Right? Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like a collection of nerdy shit, boxes and books, because my own office collapsed on me.
I want to be like a weird fucked up disco ball of some sort, like disco something.
That would be cool. I reckon, yeah, it would either be that or I'd be like an amorphous blob of coffee because I'm just
Yeah, you know,
way
the
too.
first thing I thought of was literally just like a blob of something because that's all I feel all the time.
Yeah. But like, I drink way too much coffee, and if there's something that's gonna kill me one day, it'll be a heart attack from too much coffee.
Oh my gosh. No.
Like a sentient pile of coffee beans that blasts steaming hot coffee to burn people's faces off or something.
You could be like merged with like a French press. Those coils would definitely do something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like yeah, springs stretching out and just like ripping people apart.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
I think we've got some art projects ahead of us.
Yeah, apparently we've just made our own like I love like making character designs in like a specific universe. Like
Yeah,
one of the reasons why I play Star Wars Edge of Empire because I'm like, yeah, obviously I want to know what my character would look like in the Star Wars universe.
right?
So like now I'm like, yeah, clearly I want to know what I look like as a ghost in Homesick Pilots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I'd like to do me as a ghost in Homesick Pilots, but also me as a pilot in Homesick Pilots. You know, like what would your ghost
Oh,
pilot
yeah, yeah,
suit be?
yeah. Like, yeah. What ghost would you bond to?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
What ghost would you bond to, or like if you were piloting the mech house, how would you look?
Yeah, yeah. I love that Amy's whole like ghost look. She's like looking more and more like a physical ghost, like in all white,
Yeah, yeah. When she
almost
merges,
like oof. Like, bro, you gonna lose your body? You okay there? Like,
right, and that's it. Like she does go intangible at one point in the early comics
mm-hmm.
too, which was like,
Oh yeah, she
whoa,
starts walking through walls. She's like, oh, I
yeah.
didn't know I could do that.
The scene near the end of the comic too, after the nuclear bastards have all been murdered, the door bursts open and we've got that like the Shining nod, where the two boys are just blasted with the blood of the nuclear bastards.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
But also
Mm-hmm.
like, that's also way too much blood.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like that first issue so much because it was so like extreme sci-fi supernatural like
Yeah.
version of like horror house.
Right? Yeah, I love the scene where they're running away through the house and that the hallway just like mirrors and
Starts
multiplies and
turning.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
It's very beautiful. Hell yeah.
And yeah, and then the remaining pilots are just blasted with blood that you have to assume at least part of it is the nuclear bastards, but also that's way too much blood for three people.
Right. Too many dead bodies in there.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's like, you know, the towards the end, the next page there, we've got, you know, the horrors do not leave the house.
It's literally just soaks up every body apparently.
Yeah,
I guess that's it's like the infinite, I forget the book that it's based off of, but like the infinite house that grows or whatever
oh yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever, like the book.
The Winchester house, was that it?
Maybe that's it. Where it like stays the same size, but it like grows inside, or like it changes and shifts.
Yeah, yeah, I know the one you mean. I'm not sure if
That's what I was thinking about.
yeah. And that's it. And because I think a couple of times we're introduced to the concept that there's more rooms and spaces in this house than there should be.
Yeah, and that quite like maybe James is the one like changing it, or like maybe it's
Yeah.
the ghosts that are changing it, or whatever.
Right? And but is it the ghost? Is it James, or is the house itself awoken because of these energies in it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
like Amy talks about that concept a lot through the comic, but it hasn't actually been revealed.
Solidified, yeah.
Yeah, if the house has its own energy or if it is just powered by the ghosts. It's not
Hmm.
even in issue 12 where they reveal some really cool shit, it hasn't actually been solidified if the
Still no
house itself
answers.
is an
Oh,
entity,
good. That's one of the things we could ask
right? And
ask
yeah,
them.
and then bam, that last, like you said, like Amy's appearance, that last page of this first book, where she shows up, stories up, knocking on a window, and she's got the
Still in
white,
her normal clothes,
yeah,
but yeah.
got the white hair and the lines on her face and stuff, and starting to glow,
Hmm.
and yeah, still talking like a '90s punk kid, just like,
Yeah.
like the horseshoe is extremely haunted.
It's interesting too, because like, is she turning into ghost form because she's closer to the ghosts, or is it because she is actually a ghost and maybe by her in proximity being near other ghosts make her more normal or vice versa? Because like, there's been a ton of dialogue where I've been like, is she technically like, has she been dead for a while?
That's what I've been
Like,
wondering, because in future issues, like issue 7 and 8, like where you're up to, she's got a fully human form.
yeah.
But is that just because she's in
She goes
control?
back and forth, it seems like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like, is she dead, but she turns into a human form because she eats and everything? She gets hungry, and like they sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But is that habit and just like longing for the familiar? Or is she human but is changed and empowered by the house
Mm-hmm.
and the ghosts?
Yeah.
I'm still not actually sure. And
Hey.
I'm looking forward to finding that out.
I would love to know how many accounts like people have like not pursued trying to work on something because they think it exists already, or like assume that it exists in the way that they envision or intend. You
Right?
know?
And that's what I keep talking to people whenever one of my friends says something like that. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this because this thing exists. Like, yeah, but that thing exists, and it might follow those 3 or 4 beats that your thing is following, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not your thing.
And it's not you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like anyone could
exactly.
write a, you know, Australian zombie mutant ghost story set in 1970s Sydney. But
Yeah.
6 different people are going to write 6 different versions of that thing.
Yeah. It's the same as like, well, The Walking Dead exists, so why would I do a zombie comic? Well,
Exactly.
because it's totally different. Is it based in
Exactly.
Atlanta?
And
Is
that's it,
your character named Carl? Like, you know what I mean?
right? And that's it. Like, Tom's comic came out, and I'm like, this is great. It's really weird that this has got the same things that mine has got in it, but mine's also completely different, actually. Like, so different. The only similarities is those 2 characters fight.
Yeah. This was such a fun stream. Thank you for letting me pick Homesick Pilots.
No, you're
'Cause
incredibly welcome, and thank you for picking Homesick Pilots. I've been itching to talk about this. So, as soon as, like, all of the comics that you suggested were great choices that I would have loved to talk about. But as soon as I saw the combination of Liana and Homesick Pilots, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. This has to be the one.
love that.
So
Heck yeah.
we're just past the hour, which is cool. That gives me plenty to edit into a nice snappy little episode. So where can people find you, and what have you got coming out, or what has just come out?
That's a great question. I think I have a variant coming out, or it was supposed to come out last week. Not sure about that, so I won't say it publicly. I do have End After End covers through Vault for their new series that's supposed to debut this year.
Ooh.
And I have 2 really big announcements this year, which I cannot talk about either of them apparently. So you'll just have to stay tuned. Big ones. Really excited. In the meantime, you can read Star Wars Adventures or She Said Destroy, or I mean, the list is getting longer at this point for me to remember and list them off
It is.
on like
I'm going to link
Comixology and
your
stuff like that.
Comixology
So
profile
yeah,
for everyone.
perfect. But anyone, I mean, like I love connecting with people in comics, and I love being there for anybody starting out and things like that. I have a Patreon where we have a really cool community, and we do like streams and like kind of one-on-one hangouts where I draw and like you can ask me questions and stuff like that. So I really love connecting with the comics community in any way that I can, especially right now since we can't see each other in person as much.
Yeah.
So feel free to hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. I have a TikTok now. Who knew? At Liana Kangas.
Awesome. And I'll link those in the description below for everybody so that you can find Liana and go read Liana's work. Of course, cannot forget, Liana was one of my fellow collaborators in Project Starless Daydream. Liana's page in that is...
the perfect hardcover. So cute.
Oh my god, right? As soon as I went to sleep just as it launched. You know, I retweeted it and shared it. Then I woke up to find that we'd already hit the hardcover.
That's lovely.
I was like...
so great.
I cried real tears, in all
Aww.
honesty, because that's my first published art in a comic.
No way?
Yeah, that was my first...
oh, I didn't know that.
First professional comics page.
That's awesome.
And
congratulations.
to know that it was in a hardcover, I'm just like, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to, but I could stop making comics right now and be happy. Because my work is in a hardcover, and it's in comic shops. That was my life's goal from when I was 12, and I've done it.
Aw, I love that. Well, now you'll just get to make very many more.
Yeah, I've got so many pitches I'm working on for anthologies right now, and if they don't get picked, I'm going to just put them all together in my own anthology and just put it on Kickstarter.
Perfect. That's perfect.
So,
awesome.
Regardless, actually, that's a good news for everybody watching right now, is for me, you can find me as Brainbeast Studios everywhere. I'll link my Discord below. If you're an Australian illustrator and comic creator, I'll link that Discord below as well. And also, if you're a TTRPG creator, we've got one for that. You can find me on Patreon, where you'll be able to get like sneak peeks at the show and see all the bits that didn't make it into the final episode because of this new format for the show. You'll get advanced previews of the scripts that I'm writing and the pitches that I'm putting together for these anthologies, and just all kinds of cool shit, playtest my games, etc., and meet other cool people. And I am writing an anthology of 10 short cryptid stories right now. That one is going to be hitting Kickstarter or Zoop. Is that the comics crowdfunder that's out at the moment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to go to either Kickstarter or Zoop later this year once I finish it. Frankie White is editing, so I'm working on drafting all the scripts right now to send them off to Frankie. And I've got a killer... like, I'm writing all the stories and working with a different art team for each story, and I'm so excited about it. I had Minerva Fox for the Mothman story. I've got Adam Markowicz for the Loch Ness Monster story. Ted and Roe from Crowded and whatnot are doing my Drop Bear story.
That's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
This sounds incredible.
I'm so stoked. I'm really excited to do it. It's gonna be my first ever solo book that I've written and actually published. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited. I'm nervous as fuck because obviously I want to get it funded. But hopefully you guys will like it, and stay tuned for announcements about any anthologies if I actually get into them this year. So this is the year of me getting into at least one of them.
Yes.
But yeah, go
will it into existence.
Exactly.
You
might want to check the connection settings.
Exactly. That's it. I am going to manifest it this year. Like, I am pitching to everything I can because I want to get practice writing and I want to get my stuff out there. I want to have a little shelf going like you and Minerva, you know, with just books that I've been in.
Oh, these are just my personal collection.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that spread that you had in your recap tweet, that was so impressive and exciting. That was really cool to see.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you again for having me on.
No,
this was really fun.
Thank you for coming. And it's always fun trying to organize this stuff with time zones. So I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate you joining me. I've been eager to have you on since season 1. So season 3 is my season of getting all of my favorites finally on the show.
Third time's the charm.
That's right.
The best one.
That's right. So everybody go and follow Liana. Buy some of the comics that Liana's worked on. Follow me. Maybe subscribe to Patreon. Tune in next week, fortnight, whenever the episode comes out, because this season is just filled with incredible creators and all of my current favorite books. So this has been No Capes, and I've been Sean Sunday. This has been Liana Kangas. We'll see you next time. Keep reading comics.
Bye.